Lil Don from Pocket Town was arrested earlier this year on undisclosed federal charges, most likely related to the federal investigation into the gang that G Herbo and Lil Bibby made famous, NLMB, which stands for the No Limit Muskegon Boys. Lil Don was part of that KTS, or Kill to Survive crew, that allegedly caught Lil Glock from NLMB lacking in Cook County Jail and gave him that savage life. And if you don't know what the words savage life means in Cook County Jail, here's a hint. But you'll have to wait until the end of this video to find out if the rumors about Lil Don and Lil Glock are true. Arrested in 2021, 3 U.S. Army soldiers were accused in a large-scale gun trafficking ring that prosecutors allege supplied nearly 100 guns to gang members in Chicago, and led to at least 2 killings, according to Attorney General Merrick Garland, who made the announcement on behalf of the Department of Justice. The soldiers, DeMarcus Adams, Jarius Brunson, and Brandon Miller, were enlisted in the Army and stationed at Fort Campbell in Kentucky, where they would legally purchase guns from local dealers in Tennessee and Kentucky, prosecutors charged. In January of this year, Brandon Miller pleaded guilty to selling them to members of the Gangster Disciples Street Gang in the Pocket Town neighborhood on Chicago's South Side, according to the 21-count indictment. A search of Miller's home in Tennessee led to the recovery of firearms and at least 50 empty gun boxes, some bearing serial numbers linked to guns recovered in connection with Chicago crimes, authorities said. Miller sold the guns to members of Kill to Survive, a gang alliance of the Pocket Town Gangster Disciples, Lakeside Gangster Disciples, and Cottage Mob Vice Lords, to help in their war against a rival gang called No Limit, officials said. 4 guns recovered from the scene of a mass shooting on the southwest side on March 26, 2021, were trafficked by the soldiers to Chicago, prosecutors said. Dante Thomas, 27, was killed, and 8 people were wounded in that shooting near 79th Street and Western Avenue, in Wrightwood. Thomas, a friend of Miller, was attending a pop-up party to honor a slain member of the Kill to Survive Alliance, officials said. The guns found at the scene were traced to stores in Tennessee, sparking the investigation that led to Miller. Another gun sold by Miller's crew was used in the January 28, 2021, killing of Gregory Jackson III at Studio 19 Barbershop, 1931 South State Street. Jackson was a friend of the well-known Chicago rapper G Herbo. Questioned in April 2021 by a Chicago police detective and a U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives agent, Miller admitted he traded guns as a hobby, but said he didn't know how they wound up in killings in Chicago. Asked about how a firearm he bought was used in his school pal Thomas's killing in Wrightwood, Miller said, "I bought the gun, and then, all of a sudden, a friend of mine's with the homicide. I get that probably looks bad on me. But I never bought a gun for a friend that I know was a felon." In his plea agreement, though, he admitted he sold guns to gang members in Chicago. Many of the guns were high-priced, quality weapons such as Glocks and Smith & Wessons. On January 15, 2021, for instance, Miller told a gang member in Chicago he would sell him a Glock 43 handgun with a high-capacity drum magazine for $850, authorities said. Miller said he entered the Army to escape a tough life. He'd been kicked out of his house at 17, and went to funeral after funeral after funeral of friends. His father, who was in and out of jail, was an abusive alcoholic, he said. Miller said he was planning to leave the Army after being injured in the field. In civilian life, he said he hoped to work on a barge. But military court records show, Miller pleaded guilty last year to sexual assault, in a 2019 case. On January 19, 2023, a military judge sentenced him to 30 months of confinement, and ordered that he be dishonorably discharged from the Army. It's a shame that Brandon Miller didn't stick to his plan to build a better life for himself in the Army, where he specialized in operating the computers that guide artillery and missiles. If he had, maybe his friend, Dante Thomas, and G Herbo's homie, Lil Greg, would be alive today. No one knows for sure, but what I do know is this: Lil Greg from NLMB was previously arrested in a RICO case that brought down Laffa Gang.
Laffa Gang is a set of former gangster disciples in the South Deering neighborhood that split from the Jeffrey Manor gangsters after the murder of a beloved teenage girl named Anna Vera in 1997, causing a decades-long war that members fight even if they were born after Anna died. LAFA stands for Love Anna Forever and Always. For purposes of this video, we'll just point out that No Limits Lil Greg was with LAFA Gang's James Shaw, in Hermantown, Minnesota, which is close to Duluth, when the feds kicked in the doors waving their 404s, to bust LAFA Gang's heroin operation, in September 2015, before the federal investigation into NLMB, and their deadly gang wars against Pockettown, KTS, and Black Mob, had begun. Please, like this video, subscribe, and let us know in the comments section below if you want to hear us tell the crazy story about LAFA Gang, their war against the Jeffrey Manor gangsters, and more about the RICO case the feds brought against them, in another video. For its part, the FBI investigation into NLMB began 2 months before the murder of Cedrone Doyle, aka Shooter Shells from Black Mob in July 2017. Unsealed court records showed, the feds sought court permission, about a year after Doyle's killing, to search the contents of an iPhone 7 Plus, recovered from his pants pocket. In 2019, we learned that Lil Bibby's deceased artist, Juice WRLD's private plane was searched, as a result of an ongoing federal investigation into drug trafficking. In 2021, Christopher Mosley was caught with the gun that killed Lil Greg, but he was only charged with weapons offenses, not murder. In July 2023, G Herbo pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and 1 count of making a false statement to a federal official. Also in 2023, Lil Don from Pockettown got into a fight in jail after he was punched in the face, that went viral on YouTube. Life in jail must have turned Lil Don crazy, I mean, look at his eyes. Lil Don's crazy looking ass snitched, and said that No Limit Cairo put a bounty on his head. Cairo told Lil Don's crazy looking ass to shut the hell up. Earlier this year, G Herbo was sentenced to 3 years of probation, and Lil Don's crazy looking ass was taken into federal custody for unknown charges. So, did Lil Don's crazy looking ass give Lil Glock from NLMB that savage life treatment by knocking him out, pulling down his pants, and spitting in his booty hole?
I'm on the deck, we in Division 11, and that's the first time I ever seen it happen, where the sacrifice stuff, nigga knocked the person out, and then they get that butt. I go here, get that butt, get that butt, get that butt.
According to a Cook County incident report, Lil Don's crazy looking ass looks crazy, but he did not knock Lil Glock from NLMB the fuck out, and spit in his butt. Lil Glock, real name, Delton Banks, was in a one-on-one fight with an inmate named Jacoby Parker Banks, when Donover Jones, aka Lil Don, joined the fight by hitting Lil Glock with his fists, before grabbing his jailhouse gun with a switch on it. Lil Don shot Lil Glock with a big Glock dookie, but also accidentally hit Kobe Parker Banks with it. A Glock dookie is a nasty mixture of shit, piss, blood, magic shave, hot sauce, and whatever else weirdos in jail can think of. In jail, inmates use Glock dookies like real guns. Inmates can get robbed for their commissary in real life by a nigga threatening to wet his shirt up, not with blood from bullets, but with the blood found in his Glock dookie. After Lil Don shot Lil Glock with a big Glock dookie, Isaiah Crawford started hitting Lil Don with a soap sock. Now, let's listen together as Snitches News spreads the false rumor that Lil Don uploaded a video on social media showing him knocking Lil Glock out and spitting in his butt.
But, you know, them young guys, they live in a different era, bro. Like, the little guy, he just uploaded what he did, that's it, bro. Like, that ain't nothing cool to be, ain't nothing gangster about that shit. Some homosexual activities, bro. And you put down a man and split his ass on, bro. That's like homosexual activities, bro. I go here, get that butt, get that butt, get that butt.